All right, we are live. Well, hopefully, yeah. It's amazing when the internet's like really good. How fast the lag. There's still a little bit of latency there, like maybe a second or so, but not bad. How's it going, Graham?
Pretty well. Just got back from Mexico a few days ago. We took the kids down there and laid around in the shade the whole time, or played in the pool with my daughter, and had a good time. But
Nice.
probably put on a few pounds, which doesn't bode well for the ride I've got coming up this weekend. So
What
got
you
the
got going on?
we got the Hencapi Grand Fondo here in Chattanooga.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's got two pretty steady, well, one steady climb and one pretty steep climb, but it's a Grand Fondo, so it should be a lot of fun. But yeah, so I guess I'll try to set the KOM going downhill, not uphill.
that's right.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
all fails, KOM going downhill is the way to do it.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know.
How you been?
Not too bad. I survived Driftless. I was up in Driftless this weekend, El Cader, Iowa. It's a little Switzerland of
Nice.
Iowa. It was pretty hilly, man. Have you ridden up there in Northeast Iowa?
Yeah, we a couple of years ago I did the Toppling Goliath gravel race.
Yeah.
It was like a late season add-on, and me and Taylor and then my dad and a couple others kind of went up there just on a whim. And man, I thought I knew Iowa gravel, and then we went and did some of those climbs, and good Lord, it's like little like 0.2 mile sections at 16% just over and over again, and then some pretty steep, long, sustained climbs. I was impressed.
Right.
And but man, how did you feel on it?
You know, I'm not a great climber, uh, but I can, steady state kind of guy. But it was 46 miles, and like we ended up having, I think, around 3,700 feet of butt.
Oh wow.
So that's, for Iowa, that's a lot, in 47 miles. I mean, you could do a 60-mile ride with like 3,000 and still feel like it was a pretty hilly course. But it was like up and down. I actually should find, excuse me here. Let me find my ride profile. It was insane looking at it. It was kind of just
Up and
down,
down and
up
up
and
and down
down.
the whole way. Yeah.
But and I was talking to the race director after the race, and we were talking about how like that part of the state has some of the best gravel surfaces. Like obviously Iowa has a lot of gravel roads, but their surface is like really nice. It's
Yeah.
almost like steamboat level of like well maintained roads. So it's pretty cool. Well, it was good. Yvonne did the 100 miler.
How'd she like that? What was the
11
profile on that?
11,000 feet of climbing on that thing.
Whew.
It was insane actually. Let me see if I can find it.
She's a glutton for punishment. I mean,
Not
she, like, we go to Mid South and she wants to run the marathon. You go to the Driftless area and she wants to climb 11,000 feet.
like and it was like there we go. Let me mute I got the tablet going. Hello people. There's some people logged in. Yeah, when she said I knew I was not in shape for 100 miles and 11,000 feet of climbing. I
Yeah.
probably could do it, but it would have been probably a 9 hour day at least.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like,
Oh,
I don't know how to fuel for days like that. I mean, I think, you can maybe will the legs to get through
yeah,
it. But at a certain point, I just like can't eat anymore. And then you bonk,
yeah,
and then it's just you play that awful game of just suffering. I mean, ugh,
yeah.
I
And
don't
I think
know.
that was my thing too. Is like, and I had like recording equipment, so my bike is already heavy. I got a lot of stuff going on, so I was like, I could do 100 miles, but not if I'm gonna do 11,000 feet. I'm like, nope,
Yeah,
we're not doing that, people.
yeah.
Let me sign in here. Yeah, but it was good. It was really good. I liked it up there. It's super. It's super as grassroots as ever gonna get, really, to be honest. You just kind of show up the night before. They have like a little city park right there. You don't have to reserve. You just pull in, grab a spot, put up your tent, set up your RV, and you're good to go. That's
Yeah.
that's all it is. So let's see here. Let's see if I can find it. I'm trying to find my. Let's see here. Uh, there we go. Yeah, otherwise it's pretty good. Barely made it back, but we're here.
What do you got next?
We are going to do something, the Les Hills Enduro. I don't know if that's the right name for it.
The what? The less
Les Hills, like on all the way on, like the on the border of Iowa and Nebraska.
I don't know
They,
many.
they,
I don't know many hills out there. I
yeah,
haven't been
they
out
they
there,
got
but
they're called Les Hills, and it's kind of a geological phenomena. And it's actually it's there, and I think the only other place that has it in the world is China, somewhere in China, I believe. I could be wrong, but it's pretty cool. Like the way the land forms and everything. It's but there's some really beautiful riding, to be honest.
How'd you find out about that one?
Uh, we talk who? Oh yes, I was talking to. There's a guy on YouTube. He was down in Mid South actually when we're doing Stillwater when we're doing Mid South this year, and he no cost gravel syndicate. He has a YouTube channel, and he was telling me about that event, and we've been wanting to ride out there like for the longest time. We tried to go last fall, but then the weather was kind of crappy. But when he said that, like the dates were going to work out, so that's how I found out about it. He said 60-mile course. You gotta be careful out there. It's like it gets hot and it's
Windy.
kind of
Oh, I bet it's
yeah,
windy.
it's kind of like a deserty kind of situation.
I mean, that sounds like exactly where I want to ride.
Yeah,
Unique hills, that deserty situation.
yeah,
You
it's
should
kind
come
of
down here,
open.
man. It's
It's
lush
kind of
down here.
so that's yesterday's
Oh, it's just some
ride
long
right.
climbs right there through the
I mean,
middle.
look at that. I mean, up and down, and I don't even know like what Ivan's was, but yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
Heart rate was pegged 158 the whole in average. Yeah, it was good though, but it was great course. I
So
didn't you know
how do you train? Like, I mean, living in Iowa City, what if you're gonna start racing these hilly races, like say you go back out to Leadville, like what are you doing to train for that? Because I mean it's tough.
what we end up doing for training here, like if we were trying to simulate, we'll go out like Roret. Remember when we used to go Roret
Yeah.
Road, Western Town. So Western Town, there's a lot of hills there. So we'll do you try to plan a route that goes out and back, and you can get a lot of elevation there. Obviously, it's not going to be the same as going up a 10-mile climb, but 2-3%. But at least it kind of trains the legs to
Yeah.
be a little bit give you
It
that
makes
fatigue
you
of training.
strong, for sure.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think like living where you do you think you would rather do like a 10-mile section into like that's flat into a headwind or a 10-mile climb at 4%?
10 mile into headwind for sure.
Really?
Yeah,
You would rather do that? Really?
and it's the things like if it's flat, I don't have a problem with that. Like I'm okay. I think I'm trained enough aerobic base wise that I can just keep a nice effort into the wind. That I'd rather do that than go uphill.
Really? Well, I'll tell you, I think that most people listening would say the same, is that you are very wrong in that assessment. That is not the correct answer.
Nope, not going uphill, man.
Oh, yeah, I would so much rather be on a climb. A climb you can sit, you can get into a rhythm, Like you can look around.
Some
You
of the
don't have to
wind,
worry.
though.
No, but you can at least talk to someone when you're climbing. You
That's
can't
true.
talk
That's
to you,
true.
yeah, when you got a headwind.
It just right through your ears. You're deaf by the time you turn around to get the tailwind.
Yeah,
No, I'd rather do that. Like honestly.
yeah,
Um, but that's what. Did you see? On the subject of mini pumps, remember we're talking about Silca's mini pump.
yeah,
Did
yeah.
you see the videos they released this week?
No, what do they look like?
The U.S. market is not going to get the mini pump.
Really?
Yeah. So the Silca guy, he went into a long. He made two videos. One, showcasing the mini pump, and then the second one, the reasons why I think people ask like, "Hey, why you not bring the pump here to the U.S.?" Because the rest of the world's getting it. And he just said that for them, the bottom profit line margin for them is not very high on those components. And he said that importing it would mean selling the pump at like $250, $300 here. By the time you pay the tariffs, because they would
Yeah.
have to extend that the pricing to the customers. And he just said like I don't know of a single person that's gonna pay $300 for a mini pump.
Yeah.
So that was it's such a bummer. I was looking at the first video that I made. It was really cool about the technologies they used. Obviously, like you said, with Silca's ingenuity, they were going to come up with a bang of a product. It looks like leaps and bounds ahead of what everybody
Yeah, of
else
course.
is
So they
doing.
like dangled it out in front of you and they're like, hey,
Yeah.
check out this awesome product. And they let you watch the video and you're like, oh, and then they release another video and say, oh, you
Yeah,
can't get
you
it.
can't get one. But they have two. They have a small one that doesn't have a digital readout gauge on it, and then they have a bigger one that is equivalent to 10 CO2s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then the small one's like maybe 6 or 7, something like crazy numbers. Like
Yeah.
that's a lot of CO2s. Like if you had to carry 10 CO2s.
Yeah. So are they making it? So I guess they're making the small one to carry out like on the trail, and like the bigger one is maybe one like you keep in your car. Is that kind of the
Yeah,
idea?
and I think they're both pocketable. To be honest,
Mm.
it's not that much bigger. To be honest, let's see here if we can find it.
Yeah, I'm
I
curious
couldn't
on.
find.
Well, I'm not so worried about the size, but like
Yeah.
weight. I'd be curious how heavy it is.
Yes.
Because like mine, it's got some weight to it. Like not a lot, but I'm not gonna take it out on the trail unless I like know I'm gonna be out so far that I need something more than the CO2 that I have on.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Like if it's gonna be so there's a good size comparison there.
Fancy. Is that titanium body?
I think they used. He did say I don't remember now. I don't see it. I think he said it during the video, but I don't recall. But pretty cool. Like it's not that big compared. Like for size comparison wise, there's the AirPods.
Yeah,
I'm sure
what
you
a funny comparison.
You
A
know.
pair of AirPods.
But this is the big daddy here, and so they ended up using. It was super cool. Kind of listening to the video on how some of the things they used, but they used drone motors in there. He said obviously it's still a little bit it's still whiny like most mini pumps,
Sure.
but the ability for it to inflate tires pretty fast is like outstanding. But yeah, so that's it right there. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
So I was ready to get one.
for like $300.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
interesting story. So he was talking about the backstory. Like Silca used to make all their pumps here in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And the last round of tariffs made it back in 2018. The steel they used in their pumps was it was cheaper for them to make the pumps overseas than here. So they moved all their production there, and then this came up. So it's been very interesting to see. But he was saying that they did try for this pump here to make it here in the US,
and they just
but
wouldn't do it.
yeah, just a lot of a lot of he said there was a lot of intricate parts in there, like neodymium magnets. I didn't know this, but there's US doesn't have neodymium magnets.
Mm.
With everything that's used here is sourced here, which is said obviously motors you need magnets. So he said that was out. You have to import that, and then the motor that they used in the pumps. There was only one fabricator or manufacturer of that motor here in the US, and it was going to be like $50 pump
Yeah,
motor. So he's like, that's 50% of the pump cost right there. He's like, I can't have one piece of component costing that much.
for
So
sure. I mean, it's like
yeah,
it's not only them though. I mean, Trek and Specialized just announced that they're going to be adding like 10% increased prices on their bikes, like starting. I think Specialized is May 1st. Like they're going to see, like I think the B2B purchases are going to see a separate 10% tariff line item. And then Trek, Trek was kind of funny. Tried to spin it positive. They're like, "Hey retailers, okay, we're going to be charging you more, but don't worry because guess what? The inventory on your floor is now worth more, so you'll just be able to make better like gross profit. So don't you worry
see, that's
about
the
that."
problem though.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, it's going to get passed on down to the consumer, but
Yeah,
what I've seen is funny though is like with this, the prices at least on I'm always looking on Facebook Marketplace at what's for sale in the bike world, and prices for bikes of people already are crazy what they price their
yeah,
bikes for
right.
or what they think they can get for it, but they're going up even more, and the market's starting to flood. So
People are like, we're gonna capitalize on this and
yeah,
just
right. They're like,
all
hey,
this freaking
yeah.
hurt stuff on which yeah, that's because prices were coming down on like bike related stuff, like secondhand stuff.
Dude, the used
But a
market
lot of-
was like it.
right?
I would feel so bad because people come into the shop and they're like, "Hey, I've got this 2023 9.9 Super Caliber,
Yeah.
XTR, really nice bike," and I'm like, you got that for $11,000 and it's worth 3.5 now trade-in value, and so it's you break a lot of hearts, but yeah, I mean, the
You're
used
like
bike market is tough right now, but I mean, it makes sense that it's there's a lot of technology that's come along, especially in the off-road scene with
yeah.
transmission and things like that. So I feel
I,
bad
I
for
think
people
we're gonna
though.
see the resurgence of the used market going up, I feel like. Don't you think? I think it's gonna kind of bounce up a little bit with do you so as, on the biking side, like you being in a shop, are you guys cutting back on what you're bringing into the shop or are you just
Uh, yeah, I mean,
how does that work?
I don't want to speak too forwardly because this is like we own 9 other shops, but and it's kind of
Yeah.
individual with the shops. But I think what our company does a really good job of is running it really lean. So like, we have our standard bike orders to replenish inventory for the most part, but we really do rely a lot on we have maybe a size of every bike, but not always the right color or the right spec. So, we might have a Damani AL5 in the shop in a 52 through a 60.
Oh
But
yeah.
if someone wants an SLR or an SL7, Damani SL7, then we're going to order that for them, but we're going to size them on the other one and like try to, so that allows us to keep our inventory a little bit lower,
Yeah.
and you don't get on the hook so much, which is, what every retailer went through in the past few years coming out of COVID, where, it was the great days of just couldn't get bikes. So you're selling them for anything to where, everybody loaded up on inventory and just now are starting to right size, I think. So,
Right. And it's kind of tricky, right? Especially now it's like you want the bike shop to buy like you would think, oh, let's buy a lot of inventory and keep it, and that way you can control the prices for the end customer. But then there might not be a whole lot of demand. Then you're sitting on all this money, so it's
yeah.
kind of catch 22 kind of situation.
100%. And like, in an industry that relies on marginal improvements each year with like models, you take the fuel from last year versus the fuel from this year. Like at best, sometimes it can be a color change. But
Yeah,
but for whatever reason, all of us idiots out there are like, we have to have it. We have to have
guilty
it.
as charged.
I know, right? Like I'm right there with you. And so, that becomes tough because I think your window to sell and capitalize on the inventory that you bring in is low. And like if you start talking about a $9,000 bike sitting on the floor, the likelihood of that customer walking in the door off the street is pretty low. So you got to go out and
Yeah.
chase that, and then I think that could be really difficult. But it's fun at the same time
Yeah.
too. But yeah, it's going to be interesting though to see like with the retailers like Trek and Specialized, okay, they're going to slap a 10% tariff on. Okay, if sales decline a little bit, they're going to be fine because they're large, industry leaders.
Yeah.
But like these small, like we've already had probably 5, 6 bike companies in the last 18 months go
Right.
out of business, and that's
Yeah.
before all this happened. So like, what happens when they can't produce bikes anymore and for the next 5 months? Like I think it could have a pretty significant impact on uh the selection that customers will have access to based on the brands that'll actually survive.
Yeah. There was what was it? Revel bikes. Revel
Revel,
bikes.
yeah, they're gone.
I saw there
Yeah.
this week, right? Was it this
Hmm.
week or last week?
Yeah, I think it was this past week. Yeah.
It was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that guy that threw the thingy? Was it a beer to Vanderpool?
Oh man, yeah, that was crazy. I mean, like, yeah, like Vanderpool's cruising along at 30 miles an hour at the front of Paris-Roubaix, and some drunk guy takes a full water bottle and tosses it out and hits him in the face. Like, pretty sure he got charged, but I don't know.
Man, like
I mean, that's crazy. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's wild to me because not that cycling's huge here in the United States, but over in Europe, especially, like, what other sport do you get a chance to go and, do two
yeah,
things? Like, one, be right there within touching distance of like the athletes that you're watching. And then also, a chance to ride the same course that they do. Like, I mean, it's such a
right.
unique sport. And I feel like recently in the past few years, like things like this have happened more and more, and kind of makes me wonder at what point does it lose
Yeah,
that? Yeah,
when's the
yeah.
stop? I should show the people this clip that you sent
Oh
earlier.
yeah, this was today. So let's give
Yeah,
some context. Like,
yeah,
so this is Liège-Bastogne-Liège, one of the monuments. This is the women's race. So over in Belgium. So this is like part of the race. They're riding. The women are out there. I think this is the lead of the breakaway from the breakaway. So like way out in the front of the race, and this happens.
let's go. Right, let's go to the start.
Some dude, some random dude hops on his bike and
He just
decides to
literally
join the bike race.
he's got a UAE jersey.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, it's funny. It's funny, but like, come
Not
on,
funny,
it's
right?
gonna ruin it for everybody else. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I when I see stuff like that, it's like what's the thought process here?
it blows my
Uh,
mind because like these people are gonna become famous for all the worst reasons.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, like the guy with throwing the bottle, I think he was maybe 4 or 5 Belgian triple
yeah.
deeps, but like
But this guy here,
this dude, he was
like,
probably fueled up on ketones and carved up, ready to go. Like,
so Peter they wanted to burn him off. That's kind of sad.
yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to do, but yeah, I guess I've never been to a bike race like that, but I hope I don't
Don't
do
do it.
that.
Don't.
I
I don't
hope
want
I
to
hope
see
I
you on
won't do it.
YouTube doing this.
Yeah, yeah, I'll try
Speaking
not
of
to.
which, this weekend at the race, I was in the front group, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, probably for about 2 miles.
did you get on screen?
Oh yeah, I got the video. I don't have the. I ran out of time. I was gonna actually share the video, but
Mm,
I was in the front group about 2 miles, and I probably could have stayed in there longer if I wanted to, but there was a spot that I wanted to stop and fly the drone and catch the rest of the riders.
yeah,
So I had to let them go, but
for sure.
ooh,
Only because of the drone. I mean, it was
that's it.
really
I
the
would have gotten
drone. Yeah,
dropped probably maybe 5 miles in. That's when like the first selecting climb was.
yeah,
Like there was a pretty long, probably a little bit over a quarter mile, like at like 16%. That would have been definitely where I would have been like ejected off
yeah.
because the first part was huge group, probably about 25 in there. And we just rolling on the flat. I was just sitting on the back, wasn't doing anything. I was in the middle there, like the fourth row from the front. But like let the other people. It's always interesting. So I'm glad that I don't have to do like bike racing at the front for a living, because
It's scary.
the etiquette of being in that group, and I've watched a lot of racing, so I know that you shouldn't make certain changes if you're in a peloton for no reason, right? Like if there's a big pothole, it's the duty of the person behind you to be watching the person in front of them. But we were in a group, and just people kind of just switching around, going side to side, and we were taking up the whole road, and it was smooth, champagne gravel. I'm like, where are you going? But almost near crashes were like happening because of that. So it's like, hold your line. Like maybe you can change your line if you're trying to pass somebody if the gap is opening. But yeah, it's very interesting. I'm like, this is kind of a little bit above my pay grade,
Yeah, I mean, well, for me it makes sense. Like I always think about that because, like, yeah, I've been in the front group a very few times, and it's similar to your situation. You're there for a little bit, but like you said, like when you're in that group and you're in the peloton on gravel, especially, like you just got to hit whatever comes your way. Like, if it's a rock, if it's a pothole, you got to hit it. And so like, I've always thought this whole large tire debate was like a little silly. I'm like, I'm bought into it now, but if I were in the front group and I'm having to do that for 100 miles, like I want some big old tires, because I know that's how people flat. Like, I mean, and that's why it makes a lot of sense when these guys talk about flatting, because I'm like, dude, I've never been on any gravel unless it's like single track that I need a mountain bike tire. But if you're riding at 22 miles an hour and you just are hitting those potholes or anything, it makes a lot of sense why you need that. Like, I was thinking about that the other day.
No, we were literally, one of the friends of the channel was talking to me was asking me about my tire selection after the race. And I told him, to be honest, I'm like, most riders, you and I, if you're going to be spending a lot of, like if you're going to do a gravel event, or if you're just even riding with your friends, just a couple of people, you don't need a mountain bike tire on your gravel bike.
Yeah.
Because like you just mentioned, the number one reason to go with a bigger, fatter meat, obviously if the terrain is rough and you can't pick your line, then you want a tire that's going to be more forgiving. And but I think people are losing sight, like, oh, everybody's running a 2-1 or 2-2. Yes, if you can't pick your line, but if you and I, we are picking our lines all day long.
I agree. Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate though, because I think it's almost you could make the exact opposite argument, which is like, okay, you're not trying to race super fast, so you don't care about the aerodynamic penalty, because like, okay, you're not riding that fast, which like a thicker tire, it's gonna cause more drag. And two, like the rotational weight, like that's kind of been disproven a little bit, like that it doesn't really matter. So why not get a fattest tire on your gravel bike? I don't know. I mean, I think you can go both ways, but
no, and I think, absolutely. I think you could definitely go both ways. But if you already have a good 48 mil tire, that's still brand new, unless you just want more capability, just keep the tire that you have until next time and swap it out. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good to have fun, and you should have, a fat tire whenever you want to.
Dude, speaking of, well, I just wanted, sorry to hop in, but talking about front of the race, did you watch or follow BWR California today at all?
I tried today a little bit. Yeah. I watched, I think the women was chasing down Sophia.
Yeah,
and
they didn't catch her.
They didn't catch her. Oh man. Yeah. I don't know about you. Like, is off-road racing getting stale here in the US?
I don't know. It's not as stale as, I mean, it's not as stale as road racing is in Europe right now.
Well, I mean, we have the events, we have the marketing behind it, but we have two main players that are always winning all the races.
Yeah.
No,
I think you're right, but I mean, it's going to come to an end. Like it will come to an end. Like I think like what we while it is frustrating to have like Keegan and Sophia just winning everything, which they don't win
Yeah.
everything, but like if you think about the lifespan of what off-road racing has been, at least in the near past, like with the Lifetime Grand Prix and things like that, like it's relatively new. So
Yeah.
the fact that you have two people that are dominating the sport, as frustrating as it is like year to year, like it does create a narrative that will, I think, push the sport onward, because when the tides turn and you have like the new young gun that comes up that no one's ever heard of it,
Luke,
like
on my
Luke,
host,
can we talk about recent guest Luke? Yeah, like Luke
right?
Mosteller. Like, so yeah, I
Yeah.
was talking to Luke today. So Luke got 12th today overall in BWR California. Like I think he
Insane.
was like 8 or 9 minutes off the winner. Yeah, I was talking to him a little bit today, and similar story to his last outing at BWR Arizona. Like just you know was able to put down the power and hold. I think he got into the third chasing group and caught back up to the second chasing group, and he said he and Lance Hydet were ripping up the single track, and that's like they broke away for a little bit, and then he cramped and
Oh,
limped in for 12th, but he beat rival podcaster and Bonk Bro Drew Dillman, so that's
Drew
kind of
is
cool.
washed up, man. I
Yeah, I
think.
know, I know, but yeah, I mean, I think like what I'm saying though is, I am happy. I don't want Keegan to win every time, and I don't want Sophia to win every time because I like to see a good race. Which, to be
Yeah.
honest, like you can't even see a good race because none of these things have good like
Yeah.
coverage. But I do think when they do start to lose, it'll be a good thing,
Yeah.
and it'll be a cool way to see the sport go, because then you don't know who's going to be
Yeah.
the next guy, right?
Yeah. Because I think there's a lot of guys that are hungry for a win, right? A
Yeah.
lifetime Grand Prix win. Because right now it's kind of obviously Payson's kind of out. But Matt Beers, I feel like is doing a pretty good job of giving Keegan a run for his money. It would have been kind of nice to have Keegan down at BWR today, because I think hasn't Matt Beers won this twice now. This will be his second win. I think he
Probably.
won. I
I
think
would
he
assume
won
so.
last year. But yeah, so I'm curious to see how that shakes out. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I
Well,
mean, it's cool in general, and I hope it stays big. And I think it will, as long as they keep doing the right things. But yeah, I don't know if we talked about. Did you guys talk about Sea Otter last week at all?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did with Hannah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
when
yeah.
you missed out,
I know.
yeah,
Well, I,
just
I I sent you the picture. I was watching the pod
I know.
with a bottle in the baby's mouth right
Yeah,
there.
you
So
take care of the baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So have you guys in your shop, have you gotten any of the new Garmin Raider headlight?
yeah, actually we have. So yeah,
Yeah.
I played with it a little bit, and I think it's a cool concept. For one thing, you want my should we give a description of what it is, or should I just
Yeah.
go out and give
Yeah.
my reactions on what I think it's useful for?
Yeah. Let's see if we can find it, guys.
So for some context, some of you probably know Garmin has the Varia, which is the rear tail light that has a radar sensor on it, and they also have one that has a camera on it to be able to take video anytime that it senses that a vehicle's coming, primarily for safety reasons, and I think liability things. We all know that unfortunately hit and runs are a thing. So I think Garmin's come out with what they call the Varia View, which is the equivalent light for the front of your bike for just a small price of $549.99. So, but I do,
Unbelievable.
yeah. So I will say a couple things though. Is like it uses. So I let's talk about the light first. I think that's obviously everybody needs a front light, and I think the battery life on the light was actually a little bit less than what I expected.
7 hours, not a lot.
Not a lot, like especially if you're going to be out there for a really long time. And I think that
Yeah.
wasn't even on like the sustain mode. That was on like one of the flashing modes. I could be wrong, but I just remember it not being as long as I thought. it should
Yeah.
be for the primary safety use of it. But on the other hand, the video life, battery life is some ridiculous amount of time with an interesting storage method to where if you, I think it was if you run it continuously, run the video continuously, you get something like 18 hours of battery life, which is kind of crazy to me. But I think they ultimately the video quality is not that great because they're using technology from like a car dash cam,
Like a dash cam.
a
Yeah.
dash cam. So all the stabilization is based around like what you would feel inside of a car relative to what you would be on a bike, like gravel. So video's not great. So don't go trying to shoot any videos with this area.
I do like the records in crisp, clear video 4K. You know.
Crisp,
Yeah. Yeah, like you
clear-ish.
mentioned, like I think people that don't enough. Yeah, the I honestly think they use the same sensor that's in, like maybe a little bit better than the one that's in the tail light.
Yeah.
You know, because Ivan has that. It's okay if you're on road, um, and even then it better be a smooth road. Otherwise, it's like watching GoPro footage from 2013.
Oh, she has the video one on the back.
Yeah, the radar,
Ah, interesting.
which sounds, I think for what it does, it's great. This here is way too much money.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that went up when they released that to us. I don't know if I should say this or not, but when they released it to us, we originally had it priced at $499.99,
yeah,
and then I think it was right after the tariffs, and it went up $50 quietly.
yeah. I've been looking at a lot of different things going, kind of, small price here. I use these filters for my cameras, and I went to buy some, and they were like twice the price. I'm like, all right, we'll wait on that because I dropped the camera and kind of cracked one. But yeah, the price here is kind of ridiculous. When if you really think about it, you can buy a used GoPro and a decent headlight,
Yeah,
and you still come in under $250
yeah, with a better video.
with a better video, like actual real 4K with stab on in it. And
Yeah,
so
I
yeah,
think like, but I think when I like watched the DC Rainmaker review on it, and so like to hit on a few points, like the video for filming bad, but what it does do and what he said like showed was that it captures license plates
yeah,
really well. So like,
during the day.
yeah, so well, oh yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, at nighttime
Yeah.
the glare from,
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
how,
the
like,
glare was bad. Yeah, I
yeah,
do remember that.
it was just
Yeah. So someone out there, just buy it and tell us how it was. We'll bring you on. You can tell us how you would have rather spent your $550.
and I love tech. I'm a tech guy. I work in technology, but I also get like I feel like somebody at Garmin is a little bit out of touch with what the customers want. Garmin has had a good track record with like their watches. They've been making excellent watches.
Yeah.
The price is going out through the roof on that. But this Varia view to me is like the cherry on top is just not worth the price. I
It's
wouldn't
heavy.
pay. Yeah, it's heavy. I wouldn't pay $250 for it. The video quality alone is just
Hey, you know what you should do? A video. I think that would get a lot of views. You should buy or get your hands on one of the Wahoo Element Aces and
yeah.
pair it with with the Varia View and talk about how amazing your new setup is with this giant
Giant
honking thing
freaking
on, yeah, this
GPS.
rig on the front.
And
Yeah.
I mean, is there even a mount that supports that much weight?
I mean, I feel like you would just tip over on your bike. You'd go into the
Right?
drops and you just like go over the front.
All your
Yeah.
stuff just you have to get one of those cage mounts that are like made of titanium or something
Yeah.
to
Something
do all
like
this
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I was like, we need to talk about that. So I'm trying to see what else we had. So how much did Sophia win buying BWR California?
Let me look. I just had it up here a little bit ago. I'm sure it was a lot. Let's see.
because the one I tuned in, they were chasing her,
Oh, it was
and the women had
close.
the
Oh
separate
no, it
start, right?
was it was super close. So she finished in 5 hours and 43 minutes and barely beat second place by 34 minutes.
Wow,
She smoked them. 30 she was 5:43 and they were 6 hours 16 minutes. So there was
wow,
there was not a
holy cow,
unless
that's
these results aren't right, but I mean, the men's results looked right to me. So
yikes.
yeah,
That's a huge. Yeah,
yeah,
speaking of which, you see, like on the subject of headlights, Wahoo also released their tail radar light, right?
yeah. I haven't seen that yet. Have you played with it or anything like
Yeah,
that?
I've looked, online. Let's see here, bike. There we
How
go, right there.
how does it differ from the Varia other than
So they have I forget, but they have a couple other interesting features in there. First of all, is USB-C, which government is still using the micro USB.
I
You
have more
know,
micro USBs laying around than I do USB-Cs, so that's a non sequitur for me.
it's like I think the running jokes like at this point, like actually in the EU now everything is mandated to be USB-C. Um, just for that, cross-platform. And that's why the iPhones actually went to USB-C because the EU forced them to change their connector, and otherwise they wouldn't have been able to sell their phones in the EU. So USB-C for everything, but it does have an accelerator in there. The battery life is crazy.
What does the accelerometer do? Oh, braking. Does it do
Yes,
braking?
yes, yes.
How
So when
nerdy.
as you're slowing down, like it acts like a car tail light, it just slowly brightens up. That's right.
Hmm.
That's what it was. Pretty
Hmm.
crazy, huh? Yeah, brake light mode increases luminosity when approaching traffic.
That is
Yeah,
pretty
so
cool, actually.
they did a couple cool things with it.
What's
You
the
could get
price on it? Since we were
one
talking
ninety
about,
nine.
oh, it's not bad. That's like
It's
it's
I
like
think
what,
it's a
50
little bit
bucks more?
$50 cheaper than the Garmin
Oh, really?
Raider, right? Yeah, I think it's 250 for the
Hmm.
Garmin competitor, so $50 cheaper. I believe the last time I looked at one anyway. So not
Hmm.
bad.
No, it's not bad
But
at
that's
all.
yeah.
I like Wahoo products. I think they're pretty good.
Yeah. No, I think Wahoo's been taking their time. I would like to see them get back in the watch game, so we can
Well,
have
I
a
think
true.
they are slightly terrified of the fact that they chose the trainer game. And
Oh
and
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like that would be a very stressful business to work at because,
yeah,
I mean, it's seasonal and, some people, I don't know. The trainers, it's hard to come up with a brand new trainer every year that's better than the
yeah,
last one, you know?
yeah. And I think that's you're seeing that in Garmin's ecosystem of watches. It's like incremental stuff, and it's um, not worth the upgrade. But it's our new one,
Yeah.
5% better battery life. I'm like, really? Do we need to go down that route? Um, so what's the distance you're doing for your bike race?
You
Your
know,
Fondo.
that's a great question. Let me look.
Actually, what is the definition of a Fondo? Do you know what it is?
Oh man, so I don't want to speak for because yes, I do. I think basically it's a large event organization, but there are timed segments.
Okay.
So you don't race the whole race. I don't think all the time, but I also do think you do sometimes. But at least this one is there are time segments that like up the big climbs, and whoever wins the cumulative time of those two segments is the winner. But also, I think at this one there is also a like a first across the line is the winner too. So
Oh, so how does that work then?
I don't know. I'm not going to be in either one of those categories, so it's all
You're
good.
not shooting for top five?
No, I thought about it, but I just it'd be silly to take advantage of my home roads. Let someone else have the
Next,
glory.
yeah, that's fair. That's a big. I'm shooting for top 10 on next weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How many people are in the race?
I don't know, maybe 200, 300. So
Top
not a
10?
bad turnout. So
That would be impressive. You should do it.
top 10, top 10.
Top 10 or bust. Go out as hard
Yeah,
as you can. And just,
I'll be in top 10 until mile 5 probably.
are you going to use
Then
your aero bars? Use your aero bars.
you know so I haven't put aero bars on my bike in a while. And
You
actually,
finally felt just like a little weird about it, you know?
no, I like aero bars. But I haven't been riding the distances long enough
Yeah.
to like. I think if I was to do Unbound again, or if I was gonna do a multi-day ride, where I'm gonna rack up a lot of miles, then I'll probably put aero bars on there. Like if I'm gonna cover, 190 miles a day for like 5 days, definitely
Then
put
you
an
do
aero
aero
bar.
bars. Do you do it for comfort or for efficiency?
Yeah, comfort. Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's just, when you're in the saddle for that long, just having the multiple positions
Put your
to
hands.
stretch your back, it just helps.
Yeah.
Because I think when I did Unbound, you just get to a point, and obviously, there's people that are way faster. If you're doing it Unbound in 14 hours or whatever, not a big deal. But if you're gonna be out there for 18 hours, you just get to a point where you want to keep riding, but you can't hold yourself
Right.
upright anymore. Like you need to get in the poppy pose, which that's dangerous when you're tired. So
Aero bars come
that's
in.
when I say, hey, break out your aero bars. Because once I crossed like 150 miles, at some point from 150 to 180, I don't remember anything. I'm just like, I know I spent a lot of time in my aero bars for that distance.
Yeah.
And then I came alive once, I was under 20. Like I'm like, okay, now I've done several 20-mile rides. I think I can make it now. But if it hadn't been for that, it would have been. Yeah, I think you could do it. People do it all the time, but not in a comfortable way. I feel like so.
Yeah, it'd be tough. Yeah, I don't know. Like that is so long to be out there on a bike. Like, it's so impressive. To me, that's more impressive than the winners, even.
Right?
Because okay, it's hard. They're training hard and all that, and they put all that work in. But I mean, just to be out there that long is
it's a whole different mental game.
Yeah, it really is.
And I honestly think, people. I'm glad, at Mid South, they do the DFL. I think Gravel World's going to be doing a DFL kind of party also, because even for 100 miles to be out there for 15 hours is crazy, right? It's just like the time that you spend in your head, for that distance and going at under 10 miles an hour, it's a whole different level of suffer.
Maybe that's why you like riding into headwinds and not up climbs, because
that's right.
There aren't any 18-hour climbs that I know of. So
no, that's right. I'd rather just get on the aero bus and just go to work.
Just go to work.
250 for the whole time. Like when we did that ride 2 weekends ago with the Gravel Scouts, we went all the way to Ainsworth and back. So 30 miles into the headwind. You know how it is here.
Yeah.
We shot straight south. We'd do occasional right, left, and stuff, but it was generally a straight south. 30, and the wind picked up. By the time I think we got to the farthest point to turn around, it was close to 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Oh, at least it stayed up. I feel like every time I would make the decision to be like, okay, I'm going to ride 20 miles into the headwind because I know it's going to be great. For whatever reason, I would get all the way out there and the wind would just peter off and die, or turn around and come right back out.
Or turn around and it switches directions, right?
Oh man, you talk about a mental game. It's the question of do you keep riding and suffer through it, or do you call your wife and suffer through her being angry at you for coming to pick you up? So I usually picked the headwind.
Yeah, it's like I think when I plan my solo routes, I'll usually, if it's gonna be, I'm gonna want to do some hills. I'll put the hills on the front.
Yeah.
The first 20 miles or whatever. Go to get those when I'm still fresh, and I know that even with the headwind on flat, I can ride, and still be in a happy mood,
Yeah.
and live home that way. It's just doing headwind and climbs, not my cup of tea for sure. you know.
I see. I like the climbs because at least the climbs around here means that you're usually out of the wind because they're tucked
Yes.
up in the inside of the mountains and you're kind of weaving your way up. So that's always a way to escape the wind if you can get over there.
So back on the world tour thing, how did Pogacar? What's new there? I haven't been following. I've been kind of missing that out.
You haven't really missed much. He just keeps winning. Yeah, he won. Well, he didn't win Amstel Gold, so that was a crazy
Sorry, I
one.
couldn't hear it for a second. Somebody was
Okay.
calling me.
Uh, who's calling you? No, I was gonna say he keeps winning.
Yeah.
He won. I don't know. I mean, it's really there's not much to say. He's so strong. I mean, he won Flèche Wallonne. He just won Liège, Bastogne Liège today. He won. He got second at Amstel Gold, but he had broken away and got caught. So he hasn't quite shown that he's vulnerable in any way. I mean, he's just the best, probably the best rider ever. I mean, I would say the women's races have been way more interesting because at least you don't know who's always going to win. So
I can't hear you. Something happened to my side.
oh man,
Sorry, guys.
Aria's
Hang
gone.
on. Technical difficulties.
We can all hear him. So, well, I will talk about it. I don't know how everybody, if anyone follows cycling, but it's been interesting to see the spring classics, especially with Pogacar, because I think he's peaked really hard for this race or these races and has done well, but he's going to skip the Giro and then try to ride the Tour. So it'll be a showdown between him and Jonas again. But it's been fun. I mean, the spring classics have been good, but not as good as you would hope they would be because they haven't been really competitive, at least on the men's side. But the women have been really good. A lot of different winners there, and it's been a lot of fun. But curious to know if anybody else follows it or if we're all just gravel nerds that like to go out and ride for the spirit of gravel. Yeah. Rhea looks like he's in, I don't know what that logo was. Some crazy thing. Ah, he's back. Can you hear me, Rhea?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Well, let's talk bad about him. What should we say? There's not much to say. He's a pretty good guy overall. Well, let's see if I pop off and pop back on. It'll help him.